What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Young Money Hackers podcast. Today, we are going to be going through the topic of short-term rentals. How profitable are they? What's required to get started in doing this for yourselves? Do you need to own a property and more? So let's go through a few of these topics now, HD. What are your thoughts on the rental market, the short-term rental market in Australia? And is it a feasible thing at the moment? People to actually get started if they're trying to make some extra money on the side with their property or another property that they're looking at?
Oh, absolutely. I think short-term rentals by design has to make money. It's in every way more profitable than your regular traditional rental returns if it is done right. And so that's what we're going to discuss in today's episode. And I think I'm so excited because it is such an amazing way to increase and maximize your cash flow on the property. And to do it smartly can actually mean that it's something that's going to earn your deposit for the next property a lot quicker. It's going to be
that's the thing. It's kind of a sweet spot between an investment and a side hustle, which is what I really like about this. You don't have to be doing this full time, although you can if you so choose. I think it just gives people that bit extra options in their life. They have the flexibility to do it. Yeah,
that's right. And look, I want to talk about profitability, right? So what gives it the profitability by nature? Okay, let me explain.
Yeah.
Anything in the history of mankind where there was a business model that would reward instantly, right? Reward instantly. Instant gratification has traditionally been successful, and it always will be successful. Human beings will pay for instant gratification. What do I mean by that is this, okay? You need to get something. You need a car, okay? But you don't have a car, all right? To save up for a car, it takes a long time, and that gratification will come later on. But you want to go somewhere right now, yeah? Go do it right now. Uber. Oh, you want to eat something right now? Okay, you got to cook. You got to go to the shops, get some. Oh, initially you had to grow the crops so that you had vegetables and you had animals that you had to kill and butcher, and then you had to cook that yourself. Oh, and then you had a beautiful meal on the table. No. You want that right now? Just order it right now. Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Oh, you have to go to the bar and chat somebody up. No. That takes too long. Just swipe right, baby. Boom. Tinder.
So what is the instant gratification thing what's the problem is it solving now?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I got one more. Sorry. I got one more. Hey, see that trinket that you want? You want a new phone case on your phone? Yeah, you want that right now? Boom, get it right now. Amazon Prime, baby. That's what. Look, don't wait for TV to roll out 10 episodes once every week, right? Go watch it all in one go. Boom, Netflix, Disney Plus, it works. Spotify, same thing. So all these models that give instant gratification is what you need. Okay, what do we then work towards to enjoy? Like, you want to go somewhere, have a home, you want to have a place to stay. Obviously, you got to save up for it. You got to pay big rents for it, right? Or you got to apply to be approved to be a renter or a property. Well, hey, guess what? You don't have to do that anymore. Just pay the daily rates, and then boom, you're in a house.
And you want a house, and people love that.
Oh, people love that.
That's why it works. That's why there's so much demand, and that's why people have these opportunities to make money. To be on the other end of that and actually make money from this.
Exactly.
Yeah, this immediate gratification concept that you're talking about.
Exactly right. And the model is different, right? You want to go to a new place. Okay, so you want to go to a new place, you're traveling. Yeah, there's hotels available, and that's always been a profitable model. But hotels do not offer the same thing as an Airbnb. Hotel gives you an accommodation. Airbnb gives you a home. You can have a home in the place you're traveling right now.
Okay, cool. So what makes a property worth doing as an Airbnb? Like, what makes an Airbnb property feasible, and what gives you an edge over a hotel? In the space. Why would someone get an Airbnb over a hotel room?
Exactly right. So that's a great question, because this is where the demand is. People want to be in a home, not in an accommodation from time to time. They need to be in a place where they feel comfortable, and they'll pay a premium attached to it. So all of your destinations, where there's a lot of activity, even if you're a traveler or a corporate, doesn't really matter who you are. At the end of the day, we'll get tired. You know what I mean? A whole day's worth of play or work, doesn't matter what we do, we're going to be exhausted by the end of the day. Where are we going to rest our tired backs? That's the answer that you need to provide to actually make a good buck. So your tourist destination, of course, they're going to do the trick. A lot of your city centers are going to do the trick. So where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of hotspots, that's where you want to be to have a profitable, not so much a profitable, but an attractive offering position.
Okay, so would you say that one of the best things that makes something somewhere someone would pay for in terms of an Airbnb would be the experience that you create around that property? So a hotel is just a very clean, it might be a bit dull, whereas if you have a property that has that character, that experience that they pay for, that's what's going to yield a higher return in terms of a short-term rental.
Look, I've definitely seen that. Not only that, I know that Airbnb as a business model isn't just, not our business model, Airbnb, the brand, right? Airbnb.com, right? That brand as a business model is all about providing experiences, right? So they know that themselves, if they're not providing positive and unique experiences for the people that are joining, coming onto the platform, that their business is not going to have any longevity. So I know for a fact that if you have a unique experience within your property, for example, I know a place where they put like a tiny home, like in the middle of a forest, because the forest is owned by like this private ownership, and there's a tiny home in there, and then there's a little bonfire place out the front. There's a creek running past, and then there's it's serene and it's wonderful. That experience there is going to be heavily rewarded by Airbnb. So they're going to, rank that out to the top, going to get more people seen. And you know what? There's no hotel in the world. Sheraton isn't going to be able to offer that lodge.
And the power of social media is another big one on the back of that. If you can show on Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media platform that you use that you stayed in this amazing Airbnb with this really cool place, naturally people are going to be curious about that. People are going to, it'll be in their dreams. That's what they dream about. And if you're showing that publicly, it'll get the marketing exposure,
exactly,
which will result in higher occupancy. So would you say that now is a good time to be doing Airbnb in general?
I think more than ever. I think people are traveling more. People want to get out there more. And you know what? Like, I think I saw an article the other day that young people are more and more, because of the housing affordability, they're opting more and more towards living the life, I guess, traveling, work from home, and they have connectivity. They can work anywhere in the world and this and that. So they just hit the road and they just have the lifestyle out. And so people are traveling more than ever before. Like, seriously, I cannot believe the number of people that are in Europe right now. Like, every second person that I know is in Europe. It's like a culture in Australia. Like, once every year you got to go to Europe or Bali at least once, right? Or they're doing, or at least they're doing like an interstate travel or something, staycations, right? People just want to get out. Like, it's so boring. Everything that we do, we're just bored. And to be honest, disposable income to the tune of, a couple $100 a day, it's doable, because the opportunity is that, you can go to a restaurant and spend $100 a head, right? Or you can go out and get an experience with somebody you love, right? Overnight at an amazing place. So I think more than ever, like, the crazy demand for short-term rentals right now. And not to mention, we've also been seeing a spike in long-term short-term rentals, meaning like anything above 7 days to 14 days in rental periods. So obviously not a whole year, right? So anything, something around, just a bit less than a month is what we're seeing. People go in between places. They used to be able to coordinate, I moved from this house to another house, because there's a lot of houses available that can fit my schedule. But now there's less available. They're finding these limbo periods where they're just, actually, I'm homeless for about 3 weeks. So then they go to an Airbnb and they just stay there for 3 weeks, and they're fully comfortable because there's everything there. It's fully furnished. There's a kitchen, there's a shower, there's everything. And so they do that, and then they move to a permanent rental afterwards. So I think because there's a massive shortage on rentals, a lot of students are opting to that as well. When, obviously rental market is so competitive, they ask for, your pay slip and stuff like that. If you're somebody that don't have a job, if you're from overseas, that's something that a lot of people are opting to as well. So there's just so much demand everywhere in terms of requiring short-term rentals.
Okay, awesome. That makes sense. So basic supply and demand is still in favor of short-term Airbnb.
Exactly right.
Or short-term rentals. Sorry.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So if someone had a property right now and they were considering turning this into a short-term rental or Airbnb, whatever, what would be the main things? What are your thoughts on like the main things that they would need to consider before setting that up? Do you even need to own a property in order to short-term rent it?
Yeah, right. Bit of a loaded question there, Charlie. Look, it's where you got to. First of all, you got to know how much money is going to land in your pocket. Doesn't matter if you own it or if you don't own it. Yes, there's an option to do a short-term rental Airbnb without owning the property. We'll get to that in a minute. But whether you own or don't own the Airbnb, always start backwards. See, I love that about real estate. You can always start, at the end. What I mean by that is how much money is going to actually hit your account. You know what I mean? With doing all of this. So you work backwards. So if a guest was to stay in your house for a day, how much will they pay? Start there, right? How do you know that? Well, you do a bit of research. You go on Airbnb and go to the area where you have your property, or where you're about to get a property, or where you're thinking about getting a property, or where you're thinking about doing this venture as a rental arbitrage or whatever. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Wherever you're thinking about doing Airbnb, identify how much they're going to return. So, we're looking at, if we're looking at, for example, New South Wales, your daily rates range anywhere between $250 per night to, I see something as high as $700 per night, which is quite crazy. South Australia, anywhere between $200 per night to $400 per night. Western Australia, looking at $170 per night, all the way up to $400 per night, depending on the location that you're in right now. We actually have put together a list of all the some of the hotspots, right, around where there's good demand around Australia. Some of the hotspots around Australia where we've collated the average daily Airbnb rents. Okay, these are just average, very, very average, right? So if you're looking for that resource, go check out youngmoneyhackers.com. You'll be able to see a link there where you can fill out your details and we'll send it over to you. Free of charge, because we love it. There's other reports that we'll include in there as well, which we're going to talk about as well. So let's see what other goodies we can actually include in that one. But go do the research on how much it can actually make you, and then work backwards.
That's a really good point, man, because it's like, I love how you said you can start backwards in real estate. You can look at the numbers first. Key one, do your research. Look at the market, assess what the average cost per night is relative to your property. Like, what would an equivalent property like yours get per night? How much does that rent out for? Number two, look at the occupancy. If you can find out the demand for that, then you, again, have a good way of reverse engineering this whole process before getting bogged down and overwhelmed. So you understand how, you have a rough idea of how much your property will be earning you through short-term rental before you start. So it just takes risk off the table.
That's right.
From the get-go.
That's right. With occupancy, raise a very good point. Occupancy, the rule of thumb is if you are fully letting, right? If you have a property and the sole purpose of that property is to get Airbnb guests, right? And why I make that caveat is because not all properties are geared that way. There are property owners out there, they'll be like, oh, look, I use it for 3 months out of the year myself, and then I will put it up for Airbnb. There's a lot like that. Like, we live in a more and more dynamic society where people have to work, they do FIFOs and stuff like that, or, they have families, or what have you, or they're in between places, and they're living in one location, they move to another location, they've still got 6 months lease left in it, and then they just do an Airbnb or whatever. They ask the landlord if they can do it, and the landlord said, yeah, go for it, or whatever. And they can't be stuffed, putting it on the market, whatever. But there's earning potential, so they just try it. So not all properties are going to have or be available 100% of the year. But if you do make your property available 100% of the year, that the rule of thumb is that in major and some of the more hotspot areas, you can enjoy average occupancy around about 60-65%. Okay,
so and that's still profitable.
Oh yeah. I mean, exactly. It will be profitable. And but some of the data that you'll receive across the board. So Airbnb would issue data or something you'll read. Even the report that we produce is based on the entire market. So including all your people. So I got a mate. He lives in Melbourne, right? He lives with his parents, right? But he does live by himself as well in the middle of the city. So he'll sometimes go have a night out in the city and crash back at his place in the city without having to come all the way out to the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. You see? Mm-hmm. So he would just rent out the Airbnb when he can. And he travels 3 months out of the year. So when he's traveling, nobody's there. So he might as well just rent it out. What's really funny? This guy went to Philippines with me, and then he goes, "Oh yeah, I rented out my apartment, and then across 3 months I made 10 grand. That's more than I spent on this entire holiday."
I mean, it's a ridiculous opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Similar story for me. Well, really quick, guys, property investing can feel like an extremely overwhelming process because it's the biggest financial decision most of us will ever make. That's why we've developed these property investing calculators that are extremely easy to use. All you have to do is put in your numbers and it will tell you if your property investment is profitable or not. But that's not all. We also have a mentorship experience.
And that's right, we want to share with you all the juicy details through Young Money Academy, where you can learn step by step on how you can see yourself through to that end goal where you're profitable on all your property investments. We also have free resources available, so check them all out at youngmoneyhackers.com. Now back to the podcast.
I know a guy, he works remote. So he's got an apartment. He rents it out for 8 months of the year on Airbnb, short-term rental. He makes about 40 grand a year. The other 3 months of the year, or the remaining time that he's there, he'll live in this apartment. And that's his like headquarters.
Yep.
And the rest of the time he's traveling, doing his thing online. He's a writer and making this passive income through Airbnb with a property manager, of course. But like, it's not that hard to outsource.
Bloody easy.
Life hack.
The best part of what my mate's doing is he's and I told him to do this over and over. I said, look, I'm doing this and I'm making a lot of money doing this, and like, why wouldn't you do it? Like, you're going away. And he laughed at me at the beginning, and I'm just like, well, it's not such a joke anymore, is it now? And he's like, he's about to get a renter for a second and a third property. So this is called a rental arbitrage. So we got there anyway. But like, you know, you basically rent the property, and then you ask the landlord, hey, can I put it on Airbnb? And the dialogue is saying, hey, I'll furnish it. People are gonna, they're gonna go in there. They're probably not gonna use the cooktop every day, unlike me, who I would. I would use a cooktop every day. So a lot of your appliances and switches and all your fixtures aren't going to get used every day, which means it's going to go through way less wear and tear. Every time there's a check-in and a check-out, it's going to get professionally clean. And when you do an inspection, it's going to be spotless every single time. Oh, and by the way, if you want to sell it on the market, by all means, go for it. It'll always be presentable. And I don't have to step in your toes if you ever want to sell your property. Right? So the dialogue is there. And like, we do a professional job of looking after properties, and we need to do that in ensure that our profitability, right? So, and we have a much better financial backing to pay your rents than you relying on some dude's job, because that guy may lose a job. I'm not going to lose the demand. A citywide, statewide, nationwide, worldwide demand for so short-term rental isn't going to dry up just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense? So it's sort of way better financial backbone. So once you make that dialogue, they'll let you do that. And once they let you do that, well, you just go on profit doing. So arbitrage basically means you're selling the same product in different markets at different prices.
Yes.
Right. So the same product is the apartment or the house or the holiday house, whatever. The market that you buy it from is a long-term rental market, and then the market that you sell it at is a short-term rental market. And you can price it at different levels, and then there is a gap in the price, and that's called arbitrage. So it's called short-term rental arbitrage. So there's opportunities to do that. So I told my mate, just do it, mate. Just keep going. Don't stop. Scale up. And that's the thing about it. You can repeat it. You can scale it up.
It's scalable.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things I like about it.
Real estate is like that in general, I guess. But with short-term rentals, it's just amazing. Hey, who is the guy that told us to do the short-term rental episode? We should give him a shout-out. What's the name?
Sure.
It was on Instagram that he messaged us in. By the way, all the listeners, please.
Oh yeah.
Please write in. If you want something, we'll give it to you. I mean, like, we are probably one of the most well-versed real estate people in Australia. And this guy's he calls himself Psalm 23:4, which is a Bible verse. But why MSTZ2? Yeah. Thanks for messaging in. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah. He said, could you please do a podcast on SDRs? I've listened to all the podcasts and you've helped me with a bunch of topics. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. We appreciate that.
Yeah. So here we are. Your prayers have been answered, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
from the Bible.
Exactly. And so look, short-term rental is one of the most exciting areas. It's one of the strongest areas of cash flow right now. And it's something that really boosted me to be where I am with all the investments that I've got. Really. Like, the amount of cash you can accrue through this is unbelievable. Like, it's so promising. And it's all about just getting the recipe right. And there are pain points with it, but there are ways to overcome that too.
Before we jumped on, you mentioned something about a noise measuring system.
Oh yeah, we did talk about
to make life easier.
Yeah.
Or just a few things to make life easier as an Airbnb host.
Yeah.
Which I found really interesting.
Yeah. So a lot of people go, I can't be stuffed. Like, I know people, like, when I talk about property, that I can't be stuffed having a property with a tenant in it. Like, that'll live there for years and years and years. I'm like, there's nothing to worry about there. Like, your managers will look after if they damage your property, got insurance, like, whatever. Like, I feel like your 9 to 5 is more of a freaking grind than owning a property. You know what I mean? Like,
It's always a good one.
yeah, you're doing something a lot harder. But I guess it's better is the enemy you know than the one you don't. But if the enemy is not really an enemy and it's actually there to be a friend, like, wouldn't you just rather go with, anyway, wouldn't you just get to know a friend? I don't know. Like, I'm getting philosophical here, but like, there are things to make life easier on Airbnb. Airbnb can be infinitely headachy, and Airbnb can be infinitely automated as well.
Yeah.
It can be so wonderfully automated. So, you can have managers and stuff like that. That's helpful, but there are also good and bad managers. There are some managers that you'll pay the same amount of money and you end up doing more work. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a bit of catch-22. But I believe in systems, and I believe in knowing about the system before you actually get into it. So, we've had a chat about this before the podcast, Charlie. Actually, a lot of people that run Airbnbs that I've been dealing with, they go, "Oh, it's so much headache, dealing with people's check-ins. Like, look, I've got to tell them how to do a check-in every single time, and I've got to deliver keys to them." Like, dude, it's called a key safe. Like, get one in there, put some detailed instruction on there so people can just follow, tap, and then it's like a little Instagram story. You tap and then you go to the next page, tap and you go to the next page, and it shows you every step of the way. You can include images and text and whatnot, so that people know the check-in and check-out instructions exactly. Like, that's really helpful. That's super helpful.
It'll just make your life so much easier in general as a host. You do the work once, you set up a system, They follow it, you don't have to worry about it from then on in. And then the things that you will have to worry about is if there's any issues that arise, which we can get to.
Yeah. So, like, with noise levels, if people are going out parties and trash your place and stuff like that, you can't monitor them 24/7, okay? They have the right of privacy. But what you can do is you can monitor their sound levels. So if they're, it's unlikely that they will damage anything while being quiet. You know what I mean? If most of the crazy stuff happens when they're being loud. So you can set up noise monitors. They're so cheap. Like, you can just set it up. If it goes above certain decibels for longer than 20 minutes, you get an alert and you just message them and say, hey, keep it down. It's a lot easier than getting police involved and all the neighbors start complaining and then your Airbnb listings at jeopardy and this and that. It's just so much better to actually have those systems in, and it's really important that you can have that. Going back to the keys, if you can invest in a digital lock where you can offer them a code every time they do a check-in, and that system is automated as well. Like, they don't even have to go dig out a stone in front of the front porch to find a key and then bury it back in the same place, which in most cases it doesn't get buried in the same place, right? It's just better to just walk up to the door, be given a code, punch that in, they get in. For the duration of the stay, the code is the same, and then when they get out, automatically the code expires, and so on. So, like, they basically lose the key, and there's no key to lose, but like, they lose the key as soon as the checkout time has arrived. So, that's super easy to do. Having detailed instructions around the property about Wi-Fi, where the nearest hotspots are, where the switches are, where all the laundries are, and how all the instructions and stuff. Just having that in detail, easy to understand format in a system, that's your business.
And you can set up the property in a way that it makes your life easier. Like, you can have all your belongings in a certain area, just like you would experience if you've ever been to an Airbnb. Like, you have your things in a cupboard with a lock or a padlock or some area of the place, or just take them off the property altogether if you want to.
That's a really good point. Is to actually go stay at one. Don't be a producer if you've never been a consumer.
Yep. Consume, produce. Yep.
Okay, we're doing this to make some bit of money, right? So.
Yeah.
I think the biggest decision is, are you going to buy a property or are you going to rent a property and then sub Airbnb it?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you could, if you don't have the capacity, if you really want to do this, you really think you'd be good for it, and you can't afford to buy a property, you don't have the serviceability to buy a property, you could do the rental arbitrage model, which we've just spoken about.
Yeah, that's right. And then to then decide which way to move forward with, let's say you had the capacity to do either, right? Well, you can actually ascertain the capacity of it in itself. Like, we've got a calculator where you can just punch in all the numbers, and you can identify which way it would be much better off. We got the interest rate sitting at wherever the hell it is. And then, you got different properties that are available as well. So, the property that you like might not be available as for sale, but it might be available, for lease. And, we've talked about the dialogue that you can have with the landlord to get an approval, this and that, with the agents and whatever. And I think, it's such a, for example, the rental arbitrage model, you don't have to have a massive deposit down payment for that. You can be very savvy about the way you fit out the place as well. Just go and buy some, good furniture, just work it all together. Do it together with some friends as well to help you out so that you're not breaking your back when you move stuff in and out.
Exactly. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on new furniture from IKEA either. Okay.
Exactly. Marketplace. Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff. Yeah. A lot of good stuff. And like some of the apartments in the city, because, anything can happen. Some people just leave the place as it is and whatnot. Sometimes they come furnished at the same price as a property that is unfurnished. Which means like a lot of the more expensive, like beds and bed frames and the white goods, right, which are the more expensive items, they've already been paid for. So you can be smart about the choices of properties that you're going for. And yeah, I'd say, like I said before, you've got to work backwards. So if you want to run all the maths of all the costs and the earning capacity that your property may have, well, Young Money Hackers, we're famous for our calculators, aren't we? So go check out our website and you're going to get an STR calculator that's going to save you so much money and identify profitability from even before you spend a cent on a property.
So it's like if you had a property that would rent out for $500 a week and that property gets, $170 per night. What's the numbers on that? That's
actually, we've got to pull it all up, don't we? I mean,
yeah, we do.
Young Money Hackers. I mean, let's look it up. I mean, what have we got here? Do I even have access to my own calculator? That's a big question.
So that's $1,200 a week. Let's say we get that 66% occupancy. That's $785 per week, where you would otherwise be getting $400 a week.
Yeah, but
so we've just doubled the rental yield.
Yeah, we are. I mean, in most cases, they're not. We can actually, 1.5x or to 2x if done right. So if you go to Young Money Hackers, go to the investment calculators, go look for the short-term rental calculators, and then it can do something a lot smarter than what we just did. And then the calculator actually divides up into two sections, where the first part is the purchase model, and the second one is a rental model. So since we talked about a rental model, so if you're renting something under $500 a week, and then let's say you spend $15,000 on furniture and starting everything. Let's say your insurance costs $800, $1,000 for maintenance. I mean, that's just more contingency than anything. Unless it's an annual cost, right? Your water at $800, electricity at $1,200, the internet at $1,200, subscriptions, booking software and things like that, $500, consumable $3,000, so like sugar, table salt, this and that, whatever, for the whole year's worth of it, which is like already a lot. Say you got some gifts, bottles of wine, this and that, whatever, and then that rents up for $180 per night, which is, I think, very conservative, I guess. And you can shake back a lot of these annual costs as well. At 67 occupancy, you're profiting $7,500, but this seems like a city property to me, and you could probably charge $200 a night easily, and then you'll probably be looking at almost 70% occupancy or potentially 80% occupancy as well. In which case your profits are between 12.4 to 21.900. So that's a lot of money. And if you can do, like, even if you did badly and on the $180 a night, if you made $7,500 like positive cash flow per year after all contingency costs factored in, then you can definitely scale this out to 2, 3, 4 properties, and depending if you're having good years, you're gonna easily crack 6 figures.
Yeah,
very much easily.
Yep.
We've done a bit of a report and looked around as well around different areas around Australia. It looks like in Melbourne, your sort of average annual revenue, this is average, right, is about $51,000, $52,000 a year on a 1-bedroom property. The gross yield sitting at 9.57%, which is crazy high in Melbourne. Brisbane, we're looking at average annual revenue in Brisbane is $48,000 with a gross rental yield sitting at 15.4%, which is high. Adelaide, gross rental yield sitting at 15.34% as well. Perth, above 10% at 12.36%, and then Darwin also 15%. So it's crazy. We've got we've got a full list of this across all cities across Australia. So if you would like that report, as well as the daily average rates that you can charge across some of the hot suburbs around Australia, go and fill the form out. Go check out our website, youngmoneyhackers.com. We're issuing these reports out for free. So that at least that's a place that you can start with. And then you can work on your calculation later down the track as well. But the short-term rental, like from A to Z, such a profitable, such an amazing model for you to expand cash flow, and you can do it without owning on property as well, which is just amazing. So you are without excuse. Millennials and young people like us, we are without excuse. We can make money with property. Seriously, we can, and we don't need much money for it. Like, we're doing just fine. We can do it.
Yeah, we can, 100%. This is literally where a lot of opportunity lies, I think. If you're willing to put in a bit of work, a bit of calculated risk, educated execution, you will be fine.
Exactly right. And look, Young Money Hackers is the place to learn it. I mean, I love that we're able to talk about this, and there's a lot of opportunity. I know a lot of people make comments about like, oh, this is illegal, this and that. Like, that's not illegal, guys. Just talk to the landlords and communicate, and you'll be fine.
100%. It's all just people communicating with each other. I think people don't like the idea that there are alternative ways to make money.
Yeah.
They get triggered by it or something. But that's another story altogether.
It's possible. Like, my first Airbnb, I did that when I was on no income. I did that back when I was in university. Seriously. It's definitely possible. Yeah. And so that's your short-term rentals for you guys. I mean, is there anything else we can add, Charlie?
The top of my head, I think that's covered the majority of the things that I wanted to talk about.
Well, let's leave some for the listeners. Seriously, ask us the question.
Yeah.
Come back at us.
Guys, send us a message on our Instagram and we'll read it and make an episode on it like we've just done today.
Join our Facebook group as well. Get that pumping. I mean, we're getting a lot of interest on it. Thank you so much for all the Instagram followers as well. What are we sitting on? Some 26,000 followers now?
It's 27 now, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really good.
Within 2 weeks of launching the Instagram page, we're getting smashed with all these people. We love your support, and all the people that have supported us through, with all the nice comments and all the all the products that they're getting from us and all the testimonies we're receiving. It's just overwhelming. It's amazing.
Yeah. It has been a really pleasant surprise and really humbling. So we really appreciate it, guys.
Any help we can give, reach out to us. There's something for everybody.
Yep.
Much love. Subscribe.
Yep.
See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.